Ah, the Pope. Who doesn't love the guy? He sits out there in Rome and decides things, such as who gets what half of the world, and settles great theological debate, like if a hot dog is a type of sandwich. Now, some people have found him annoying, because if you don't keep him friendly towards you, he can excommunicate you. In fact, some people have found him so annoying they went off and formed their own religions. However, if you play nice with him, you can convert your good boy Pope points, called Curia Power, into very nice buffs, ranging from mercantilism to stability, as well as now permanent increases in things like morale and even diplomatic annexation cost. What's not to love? Well, as always, it's capped at 90%, like all fun things from Paradox Interactive. But still, that's an insane reduction, so let's go get it now, and enjoy our super heavily discounted stability. Disclaimers. This is insanely easy to do if you want to allow custom nations, like enough to trivialize the video. You can create a custom nation for a minus 60% Curia or power cost idea in one of its national ideas, and then just maintain control of the Pope to make sure you get the Papal Bull for minus 50% Curia power cost reduction 24/7. You don't even need the 60% full reduction from your ideas, a 40% reduction is enough to hit the cap. However, the problem with that strategy is our standard rule set of IMAN compatible, achievement compatible standard setup means that no custom nations exist by inherent definition, so we kind of end up prohibiting this, and as such we'll need to seek an alternative run, which is where this video begins. Well, let's begin. In the bottom right we have a very simple counter, just the Curia power cost reduction, permanent. We're ignoring a lot of the temporary sources of Curia power cost reduction. Special mention goes to France, that gets a 33% reduction until ruler death from their missions, Norway, that has a 20% reduction, as well as Lithuania, that gets to canonize Casimir for 33% reduction as well. Regardless of all of these wonderful sources of Curia power cost reduction, we are just about managing to get it to permanently minus 90%. So to celebrate our preemptive success, head on down below and increase both the like counter as well as the sub count if you haven't already. But with all that said and done, let's go. So for this run, as you may have noticed by the fact I've already selected the Knights, we're going to actually start as a Crusader state, as we're going to be forming a relatively obscure tag in this game. Now, the thing is with the Knights is everyone's seen the Knights, they've seen videos about playing the Knights and so on and so on. But there is another Crusader state that has access to this mechanic, and this is the one I'll be using today for the demonstration. Epirus. And I think Epirus just does not get the love it deserves. The countries next to it, both the Ottomans and Byzantium, get insane amounts of guides on how to play them and all of this content on YouTube. Athens even gets a bit of a show in the spotlight with the whole Athenian achievement for having 50 universities as Athens. And yet Epirus sits there, surrounded by all of these famous tags, just not getting the attention it deserves. The only mention Epirus ever gets is in Byzantine or Ottoman strategies, where they talk about how to kill you efficiently. Certainly, it's very sad for Epirus enjoyers, which I don't think actually exist, but you know what? I think that's a problem. I think we need more Epirus enjoyers in our life. And this is why today I'll be demonstrating how to do this strategy with Epirus. Anyway, enough selling on Epirus, I'll let the gameplay speak for itself. So, with Epirus, you have access to the Crusader Epirot missions. Now, the Knights also have access to these missions, which aren't that bad. You get abilities to form Jerusalem, you get Fountains of Youth and Conquistadors of the 100th Edition, and other fun things like Shields of Christendom that give you papal power and loads of monarch points, and other fun things like the Ark of the Covenant. However, one of the main things, and the reason we're here, is going to be this mission, the Latin Empire. This is going to require us to basically conquer Greece and kill Byzantium, which is probably one of the other reasons that Epirus doesn't get a lot of love. A lot of the gameplay of Epirus is murdering Byzantium and then murdering the Ottomans, which means you either upset the Ottoman enjoyers or the Byzantium enjoyers. No one is left happy. But regardless, you have to go ahead and sway the Pope, then get a foothold in Greece, which is murder the Greek part of Byzantium, and then go get the rest of the Balkans, well, not the entire Balkans, to get the rest of Greece to be clear, and go ahead and grab the Latin Empire. So let me go do that now for you. Okay, so here we are with the Latin Empire event. We can either say Deus Vult and become an empire and all those other fun things, or claim that Constantinople is ours and become this very unique new tag, the Latin Empire, which we do want to take the new ideas for. Now, the Latin Empire, among other things, contains this wonderful thing for the Latin Patriarch, which gives us minus 10% Curia power cost reduction, which is the first thing we're going to be putting on our list today. Now, we technically need to get an idea group to unlock it, so I'm going to suggest religious ideas, because it's going to give you some yearly papal influence, as well as some prestige from development for missionary, and, you know, the rest of the religious ideas are quite nice, if you're already going into playing around the Pope stuff. That's my personal recommendation, but again, you can do any ideas for this run. This is the only idea that I'm going to need, and technically I'm going to need one of them filled out to actually gain access to it. Now, with the Latin Empire, another way of getting it is if you play Byzantium, then you're going to get an event to become the Latin Empire if you switch into Catholic to get help against the Ottoman invasion. If you do it that way, you won't be able to do the rest of the strategy, as the important thing with both Epirus and Latin Empire is they're not an end tag. Byzantium is an end tag, so you won't be able to go do the next part of the strategy. Namely, we're a Crusader state, so we need to go ahead and finish the Reconquista. We need to go ahead and conquer Granada, and then, get the rest of Iberia while we're in the area. Now, as the Latin Empire, you will have access to the Crusader state unique government reform, which is very cool, and I would recommend. Their issue is, however, you're about to lose it, because you need to go ahead and, after gaining your way into Iberia, go to your governments and become Castilian primary culture, or anyone else who can form Spain. So, when we can go ahead and form Spain, we'll need Admin Tech 10 as well, and we need to make sure we do not abandon our roots. We need to keep the Latin ideas. Unfortunately, now we are knocked out of the unique Latin Empire government reform, which is a shame. So if you are going to plan on using it in a strategy, you're going to just waste government reform with it, so don't take it. With that said, however, the reason we formed Spain is for a mission right at the end of it here, with native re-educations. You'll be able to get +1 yearly papal influence, as well as another -10% Curia or power cost reduction, and an increase of 30% papal influence from cardinals. Anyway, now let's talk back around our government reforms. After selecting any tier 1 government reform that you want, go ahead and get yourself to tier 4, do whatever you take, it doesn't really matter, take whatever suits your gameplay the most, and at tier 4 we need to go ahead and take lands for the church. This, among other things, is going to give us another -10 Curia Power Cost, as well as some extra buffs, especially including, but not limited to, papal influence from cardinals. So we'll be printing an insane amount of papal influence at this point, with 66% papal influence from cardinals, and a whole bunch of more Curia power generation. We're going to be having an insane amount of these Curia power points. See, this strategy does rely upon being the permanent papal controller, which you should be able to maintain with the insane amount of papal influence you're generating. But that should also mean that you have access to picking whatever papal bull you want. In this case, we're going to be going for this top one here, for -50% Curia power costs. This is going to stack with everything else we had before, and is the only reason this entire strategy is pretty much conceivable in the first place, as now we're looking at a -80% discount. Unfortunately, it's going to be quite hard for you to maintain as the Pope because you are going to need to own Rome. See, when you do take Rome, you'll be able to pick up a final -10% Curia power cost reduction, as well as some idea costs for your trouble. The issue with taking Rome, of course, is this is going to kind of annoy the Pope. He's not going to be happy with you owning Rome, especially since you're a Catholic, and he's probably going to want to demand it back, or you're going to get some nasty modifiers like occupation of Rome. So, to avoid the occupation of Rome, you could go ahead and form Italy, only you can't, as Spain is an end tag. So in fact, you only have two options now. You can either revoke the Holy Roman Empire to be able to maintain this, or go ahead and form the Roman Empire. I would suggest forming the Roman Empire because doing it as a Crusader Catholic state just kind of seems wrong in all the right ways. With that being said, that is going to be the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.